If we just get back to exporting our own energy resources, we just open up the pipelines here in America, we can end this. And that talks about Ukraine or Iran or any of these nations that have energy as one of their basic means of sustaining their efforts.
The investigation is still underway on the gas pipeline that was damaged, and most signs do point to Russia. Colonel Alan West joined us recently to discuss what the future may hold. It's largely been taken off the front page because of events here in the United States, natural disasters, among other things. But there's been some really interesting developments in the war in Ukraine as of late. One of the most recent, of course, is this apparent sabotaging of the Nord Stream pipelines 1 and 2, 3 separate areas of those pipelines, apparently sabotaged now. All evidence points to that. Who's behind this? What's the motivation, in your opinion?
Well, the incredible thing, we'll never probably know the truth. And of course, Vladimir Putin is going to try to get ahead of that with his propaganda. And I would almost believe that he would try to do that and put a pressure on Europe going into the winter months because they're so dependent upon that. And guess what? We are not producing, consuming, and exporting our oil and gas resources to them at this time as well. So it's kind of a conundrum. But without a doubt, we have to understand that energy is a critical aspect of your economic security and your national security. And, you know, hopefully the Europeans will never find themselves in this position again. But without a doubt, I would not put it behind the Russians maybe doing something like this in order to send a message to the Europeans, because I don't think that the Ukrainians right now, with the momentum that they have, would want to do something as damaging as that.
Right. Well, it makes sense in the sense that President Putin has really painted himself into a corner now. He's facing increasing desperation. Evidence of that is this conscription of troops now. He's sending 300,000 young men to join the military, whether or not they want to. And many of them don't want to. We're seeing riots in that country now. And he's also threatened the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. How, first of all, with the nuclear weapon combat, how likely is it that he actually uses it?
Well, the thing is, in the military, they always taught us that you don't go with the enemy's most likely course of action. You plan for their most dangerous course of action. But again, coming back to the mutually assured destruction aspect, the mad theory, I don't think that Putin wins if he does something like that, because you really do bring the entire condemnation of the world against him. And even a do-nothing organization like the United Nations would have to stand up and do something, and it will completely turn the tide. And when you see the level of protests that are in the streets right now, that means that the truth about what is happening in Ukraine is getting to the Russian people. And the fact that you have folks trying to flee that country to get away, and if you do send those people in to be conscripts, it's kind of like, and we were talking about this off camera, that opening scene from the movie Enemy of the Gates, where you're telling these conscripts to go fight, but then when they're getting murdered and they try to turn around and come back, then you shoot them yourself with political officers.
Well, they're faced, if you don't agree to join the army, you're facing prison terms of, I think, up to 30 years.
Absolutely.
In the former Soviet Union.
So he is losing this, not just in Ukraine, he is losing this in his own country now. And I think that's the point that has to be brought out. So he is really in a corner, and a tactical nuke is not going to solve his problems.
Former President Trump has stepped into the fray here, offering to negotiate a negotiated settlement between these two countries. Probably not going to happen. I doubt that the Biden administration is going to take him up on that offer. But negotiated peace is something that seems like a natural fit for this circumstance, lest we get a protracted war.
Well, the thing is that if you're a Ukrainian, do you want to negotiate parts of your country away? And I don't think anybody in the United States of America would say that we want to negotiate the southern or southwest regions to someone else.
Great point.
And so that's not going to happen. So they right now feel a momentum. They want to be able to win this thing and restore their country. And that means the Crimea also, which, you know, was lost during the Obama administration.
Which raises the question again, how protracted does this war of attrition become, and how long does the U.S. continue providing money and material?
Well, I wish that we would curtail some of the money and material, because when you look at what is happening in our own military, just last week, our soldiers were told to go on food stamps to compete, you know, be able to sustain themselves with this inflation. If we just get back to exporting our own energy resources, we just open up the pipelines here in America, we can end this. And that talks about Ukraine or Iran or any of these nations that have energy as one of their basic means of sustaining their efforts.
Protests we're seeing, you mentioned Iran, we're also seeing protests in Iran over this woman who refused to wear a headscarf, was imprisoned for it, tortured in prison, and now has died while in captivity, stimulating all kinds of protests there, which show no sign of diminishing. Where does that go?
Well, it reminds me of what happened during the Obama administration when the young lady, the protester, was shot, and we watched her on video bleed out and die. But the Obama administration did not step in and do anything to support the people of Iran. And now look at what has happened in the Biden administration. We're continuing to have the talks with reinstating the Iranian nuclear agreement, and that means sending them more billions of dollars when that was something that was cut off in the previous administration under Donald Trump. Right now, we should say we're walking away from any negotiations with Iran. There will be no support. And again, use our own energy resources to undermine them and bring about the collapse of that regime. We were so close. I mean, Hezbollah, Hamas, all of these terrorist organizations, the Houthi rebels, they were suffering because the pipeline of money was going away because we were starving them. And then we open it right back up with these negotiations.
The irony is you look at all of these feminists in the Biden administration who are probably deep inside clamoring to support the right of women in Iran to take off their headscarves, to live their lives freely. But
where is Rashida Tlaib? Where is AOC, Ayanna Pressley? Where are all these women that talk so much about women's rights when you know what just happened in Iran and you are part of the party that's negotiating with them on a nuclear agreement? I don't get it.
Nor do I get why the United States is not making public pronouncements in support of the protesters.
Absolutely.
What could hurt in doing that? Is there a downside to doing that?
Well, there is a downside because, once again, you're propping up this regime as what happened in the Obama administration. Once again, when you get on the side of Mohammed Morsi, who was aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, that happened in the Obama administration. When you invite Muslim Brotherhood members to be on the front seats when you're giving a speech at the University of Cairo, that depresses people that want to stand up against tyranny. And so we're going to see that play out once again. So I can't explain it. The only person could do it if you could get President Biden sit here and talking to you.
Colonel Allen West, I learned so much when you come on the show. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.